Sports, where we review all the best sports clips from around the country. Right now, we're talking about Dallas Cowboys and Dak Prescott going against Green Bay Packers in the playoffs. Now, you're probably wondering, why should I watch over here instead of over there? That's because over there, they don't care about what you have to say. They say this all the time. They don't read any of the comments. They think that we don't know what we're talking about. They look down upon us. They say that we're just a bunch of like losers and clowns in the comment section of YouTube and Twitter. And I think it's the opposite. I think we know exactly what we're talking about. So I read every single comment. So if you think what I'm saying is the most ridiculous thing out there, let me know in the comments below. If you think what I'm saying is amazing, then also please definitely let me know in the comments below. Either way, let's get into some discussions, let's get into some fights, and ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing, because I think we are building an amazing community here, and it's turning into something truly, truly special. And I want to build something that we all really feel connected to, something that we're really proud to be part of and are really excited to, every day just check out and, just engage with. And I really think we can do it. And I think we're well on our way to doing it. So I would really, really love to see you part of it. Truly. I see this channel just as much as mine as it is yours. So without further ado, let's get to it.
Wins taking it. Cowboys, Packers. Cowboys undefeated at home. Dak fresh off of a 4-touchdown game against the Commanders. Jeffrey Chadilla writing on NFL.com. The Packers better hope they can trust their defense when the postseason begins. The Cowboys might drop 40 on Green Bay. This could be really ugly. Brew, the Cowboys beat up on tomato cans. Packers, not tomato cans. Can Dallas blow out the Cowboys? No. Dallas, actually, that's where the Cowboys are.
Yeah.
Breaking news. Can Dallas blow out Green Bay?
Yeah, I'm picking Dallas. Not sure if I'm predicting a blowout yet, but it's certainly
that's the question.
Will they blow them out?
Yeah.
They can. I mean, I think it's likely.
Okay.
I agree with what Shadia said. They are awesome at home, right? They 6 of their 8 wins at home have been blowouts by 20 or more points. And 2 of those teams were playoff teams, Philadelphia and the Rams, who transformed from tomato can into a playoff team. Real talk. Yeah. And so Dallas has been obviously great at home. We got some numbers to show. At home, they average 37 points a game and give up 16. So they're winning by 21 points a game. I mean, you see how good they are in Texas. So, yes, it's on the board. And, Nick, the Packers' defense is a question mark. All right, because, look, check this out. They gave up 30 points to Carolina. This is all within the last month. 30 points to Carolina. Yeah. Most of the Panthers have scored all year. Gave up 34 points to the Bake Show. That's the second most they've scored all year, Tampa Bay. So their defense, and they're a young team.
We can show it Jordan's
young.
I mean, look, bro, I had this hooked up.
Oh, yeah.
The Packers defense under Joe Barry has not done a good job all year. Now, maybe they don't have the personnel, but they haven't.
Did a good job against the Chiefs.
Chiefs can't score.
I would also, just point of order, I'd prefer we'd be able to have independent conversations to the point that we're discussing.
Said they didn't do a good job all year, and I watched them shut down Patrick Mahomes, the greatest living quarterback.
Okay, so go ahead. You go, Wild.
No, I'm just saying. You said they weren't good all year. I said they were good against
in the total.
Look how Nick Wright is so sensitive. When you watch this show, do you not realize that Nick Wright talks throughout everyone's take? Anytime, especially when Brew is talking, Nick is always like, right, yeah, he's always trying to interject himself every single time. And Brew a lot of times has to say, let me finish. And so then when Wilds makes a little comment, Nick gets all sensitive and salty. I just had to point that out because that's so funny. And especially when it's like a dig at, the Chiefs. God, he's so soft. For someone who's obviously successful in media right now and his stock is clearly growing, he's so sensitive, and it's pretty comical, quite honestly.
I'll admit, Nick, it was an odd comment coming from a Chief.
It was also an odd comment because it's not germane to the conversation.
You said they weren't good all year and said they've had one-off good games against great quarterbacks.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stand by the statement. We can put those numbers up.
He's genuinely annoyed here. He's genuinely, this is not a take. They obviously enjoy each other's company, but he's genuinely frustrated at this, and this is hilarious. This is just, oh my God, this is great.
Again, if we could, Hubs, that the Packers have had a bad defense all year.
Bruce smiling.
Like the Panthers had a terrible offense all year. Yet, despite that, they had an off good or a random good game or two. So I don't think the Packers have a good defense. Now, maybe if the only Packer game you watched all year was them against the Chiefs, you might feel differently, but I don't think they have a good defense. I also think Dallas blows people out more.
Or maybe you have to admit that the Chiefs don't have a good offense, and that's why the Packers played their D was, shut them down. I don't remember that game, honestly. So I don't even know what happened in that game, how it happened, what the story is. I really don't. And I watch these clips, in real time live right now. So there's no, prep ahead of time or anything like that. But I think, will Dallas blow out the Packers? Okay, this is a tough answer, I believe, because there's a few reasons why. One, we know every single season that there's always an upset in the playoffs, right? It happens every single season. Any of these other games that are playing, they're all pretty close. And I don't believe, except for the Bills versus the Steelers, I don't imagine that being an upset. I mean, I would be shocked if somehow, the Steelers end up winning against the Bills. That would be shocking. I wouldn't be shocked if the Packers beat the Cowboys. To be clear, it's not that I'm predicting it. As a fan, I'm hoping for it. Sorry, Cowboys fans. I really, and again, this channel, I really want to bridge kind of fandom and analysts so we can do both, right? There's room for both to admit what we believe is going to happen and also what we're cheering and rooting for. I think, but my actual real opinion is that the Packers do have a legitimate chance for a few reasons. One, because they're an up and coming team. Okay. So they don't have playoff experience, but they're all pumped and hyped and ready to go. And they're playing with house money, right? Like no one's expecting them to play well. I don't think that there's going to be when they fly home that there'll be, a whole group of fans clapping for them, but they are, metaphorically and spiritually being okay, Packers fans are not what the heck, this team better make it to the Super Bowl. They're I believe that Packers fans are, pretty happy with this. And obviously they don't think they want to see them get blown out, but they're just all right, we're a young team, we're growing, we're really excited for next year. And so I think the Packers feel that, know that, and they're just going to go out and have some fun. And I think the Packers, especially with Love, who is, relatively unknown, generally speaking, right? We don't really know what his ceiling is just yet. And so because of that, it's a question mark. So maybe his ceiling is significantly higher than we, would have guessed. And so maybe come time playoffs, he steps up. Matt LaFleur is also a really good coach. So who knows what he has dialed up against the Cowboys. But with that said, when your defense is that bad, that's hard to overcome, especially in the playoffs, especially when you're playing a team that's really good at home. And the Cowboys obviously have a competent offense, a good offense. Dak Prescott is, good, especially against these average, teams in that regard. And so this is the way how the Cowboys honestly make their money is by feasting off of these lower level teams. And that's largely what the Packers are, right? The Packers snuck into the playoffs. They're the worst team in the playoffs. That's really what it comes down to, or at least in the NFC. And so the Cowboys get to feast off that. So that is, what obviously makes the Packers situation difficult. With that said, the Cowboys are also known to not get the job done. Now, as you all know at this point, I'm not a huge fan of constantly using history as a barometer for what will happen in the future, because everything changes. Nothing is ever the same. Even if it's the exact same people, you're different. But when it happens again and again and again and again, especially with the same people, not the organization, because I always think it's stupid where they're the Cowboys have been doing this for 20 years. It's well, is anyone even the same person in the building? But when players or coaches consistently fall short, that now becomes a pattern and it's more of their identity. So therefore, you can use that as a frame of reference. And the truth is that Dak has not come up big in big moments. He just hasn't. And there's no way you could tell me otherwise, because if he has, he would have gotten to at least an NFC championship game, and he hasn't. And whether you want to say, well, it was Dak or McCarthy or whatever, it's still the same duo right now. So that is what goes against him. And again, it's not that I'm going to say that I think they're going to lose this game, but I think anytime the Cowboys are playing right now with the team as constructed, with Dak and with McCarthy and stuff like that, it is absolutely on the table for them to lose a game that you're thinking, they should win. I mean, it just really, really is. Think about how the Cowboys are supposed to be this explosive team, offensive team. Nick Wright says that they're like the best team, that Dak's gonna make it to the Super Bowl, and the only reason why he's not even picking them to win the Super Bowl is because he wants to say that the Chiefs are gonna win the Super Bowl. So he's saying that the Cowboys are this elite, amazing team. Dak is the MVP, yada yada yada. Yet the Bills, who now Nick Wright thinks is not that good and is kind of garbage, has a way higher, is giving way more points to the Steelers than the Cowboys are giving to the Packers. So again, make that make sense. I can't make sense of it, quite honestly. So I think this is even Vegas giving the Packers, a puncher's chance in a lot of ways. And I think it's going to be an interesting game. I just hope it's a close game ultimately. We'll have to see kind of how it unfolds.
More than anybody does.
They do.
And that we can show you as well, which is the Cowboys this season. If we can show that, Hubs, they have more 20-point wins than every other NFC playoff team combined. Yeah, and I understand Bruce's point about tomato cans, but we can also give you some historic context for that as well, which is so this is the most 20-point wins of the Super Bowl era. The Cowboys have the second most, and by the way, what those teams haven't got, you usually only blow teams out if you have a tomato.
Do you see this, guys? This is what I said yesterday. The Cowboys have the third easiest schedule. And I think this is saying in the regular season, the Super Bowl era. So of all time, in the Super Bowl era, relatively speaking, let's just say of all time, because who cares about pre-Super Bowl era? That's how easy the schedule was for the Cowboys. This is what I keep trying to say about the Cowboys. The Cowboys, I still have my crumbled up piece of paper here, that if you haven't seen the last video, they beat the Giants, who were trash, the Jets, who were trash, the Patriots, who were trash. Then they got walloped by the 49ers, and they got walloped by the Cardinals. Then they beat the Chargers, who were trash. They beat the Rams, who at the time were 3-5, were injured or banged up, and they were like trying to figure out what was going on. Then they lost to the Eagles, who everyone says the Eagles are trash, okay? And they lost to them. Then they beat the Giants, who were trash. They beat the Panthers, who were trash. They beat the Commanders, who were trash. Then they beat the Eagles, who we just said are trash. Then they lost to the Bills, who are a good team, and they lost to them. But according to Nick, the Bills are not a good team. So, and yet the Cowboys lost to them. Then they lost to the Dolphins, and the Dolphins are not that great of a team. I don't care what anyone says, they're not that great of a team. And they lost to the Dolphins. And then they had a controversial win against the Lions, and they easily could have lost that game, and it was a big controversy, and they snuck them by one whopping point, and then they demolished the Commanders. Congratulations. You just beat up on all these teams that are just trash. So that's why I keep saying that that there's a chance for the Cowboys to not make it that far in the playoffs. And now they've gotten a huge gift of playing the Packers. That's definitely, a major luxury, when on the other side of, in the AFC, the Steelers are a tougher team. You have it's just closer teams is what I'm trying to say, in the AFC than the NFC. I wouldn't really say with a straight face that the Eagles are playing like a playoff team, that Tampa Bay is playing like a playoff team, that the Packers are playing like a playoff team. But I would say that Miami is. I would say that Cleveland Browns are. I would say that the Steelers are, right? Though they are actually, having tough, gritty, grinded out wins and are really earning their keep. The Eagles are completely spiraling. Tampa is coming off of just a terrible division, and Green Bay, as well. So those teams really largely just kind of like snuck in a lot of ways. So that is definitely the big gift. And then you're having the luck of having two good teams. The Rams go up against the Lions, and now they have to go toe to toe. And if the Eagles somehow beat up, are able to sneak by the Tampa Bay, then it's a huge gift to anyone playing the Eagles, honestly. So that is kind of now the argument that the Cowboys do have a legitimate path to the NFC Championship or the Super Bowl, depending on how these these games play out. So it is definitely interesting. And the Eagles definitely had a great schedule last season, and that's what everyone kept saying, that they had an easier schedule, and they made it to the Super Bowl. Obviously, it's not clearly one of these top teams, because if it was top 10 easiest, then it would be on this list right here, and it's not. And don't get me wrong, Nick Wright would want to throw some shade at the Eagles there. So you can see this playoffs run as the Cowboys to lose, but at the same time, he's pointing out the 07 Patriots tied for the 7th easiest, and then the Rams the easiest. So I just want to know, though, what happened for the 6th and the 5th and the 4th and the 8th and the 9th and the 10th? Like, what happened to those other easy schedules faced? Like, what happened to those? What happened to those teams, though? Like, why are they not on board, though, then?
Tomato can laden schedule. By the way, those two teams did go to the Super Bowl. The Patriots, obviously, that's the best team I've ever seen. They should have won it, and their 99 Rams did win it. So I say all that to say this. I expect a blowout. I would be disappointed with anything other than a blowout.
Oh.
I don't think it's a playoff game. So any playoff game you win is good. There are definitely no style points in the postseason. But I don't think the Packers have a good defense. I do think the Cowboys have a great offense, particularly on turf, in the controlled environment and at home. So I think this is a brutal matchup for Green Bay.
And the youth of Green Bay. I mean, obviously, again, Jordan Love, but their team is the youngest team to make the playoffs since 1974.
So do you think that they are just like, hey, we're the young team, our future is ahead of us, meanwhile Cowboys are S-Bob, that if it goes the Green Bay's way, little pressure can be like, hey, we're playing loose and free, we're happy to be here. Cowboys start to tighten up.
They have absolutely nothing to lose. There's no doubt about that. Now, I did pick Green Bay to make the playoffs. I don't know if you did or not.
As did I, yep.
Yeah, and so we're not surprised, but a lot of people are surprised that they're in the playoffs. I don't know if Green Bay was expecting to make the playoffs, so this is all gravy. So, yeah, sometimes it's like a team in week 18 that has nothing to play for except an upset, and you're going for it on 4th down, you're doing fake punts and things like that.
There's a lot of nerves on McCarthy's side of things. It is a close game. It could spell bad news for Dallas because McCarthy could get tight. This is Green Bay, his former team, the team that got rid of him. And the only way the Packers can be in the position they are, the 6th seed in the playoffs with a defense as bad as they have, is because for the last 2 months, Jordan Love has been exceptional, and the offense has been really good. So, listen, they have to get in a shootout. I don't think Jordan Love in his first playoff game with that young of a receiving core is going to win a shootout. Right. But I don't think they can win the way they beat the Chiefs, to use your point. I don't think they're going to be able to slow this Cowboys offense from start to finish of the season has been far better than the Chiefs offense has been. I don't think they can win a low-scoring game. I think their only hope would be 35-31, and with respect to the Packers, I think that is a bridge too far in Jordan Love's first playoff.
It would have to be a mistake from Dallas. It'd have to be a Dak interception or two. Special
or
teams.
McCarthy. Look, if it's close,
I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's definitely possible. Not saying that it's likely, but it's definitely within the realm of possibility. But I'd absolutely love to hear your thoughts on this one. What do you think? Do you think the Cowboys are going to hang 40 on the Packers? Do you think the Packers have any chance at all? Do you think the Cowboys are going to make it to the Super Bowl, or at the very least the NFC Championship game? I would absolutely love to hear your thoughts. Please let me know in the comments below. Please do consider subscribing. I would absolutely love to see you part of this community. It's turning into something really, really special, and it's awesome so far, and I would love to see you part of it. Thank you so much, and see you next time.